from the start, when I talked to them and I was like, you know what, if I go out, I go out. But I was like, I need to, like, that's what's going to keep me in this game, is staying true to my word. Do you know what I mean? Like from the start, so they know, okay, we need to keep her around.
Yeah, I will agree with that, because there was a lot of moments where I was like, I can cut this person, but like I was trying to think about like, how am I gonna get the farthest into the game? And I don't think, like, I knew that I was Jeremy's number one, and I knew that I was at least Johnny's number two, but I felt like if I tried to work with anybody else, I would have been the bottom of those numbers, and it was going to be hard to climb my way up. But I knew I had already climbed my way up.
Okay, so here's the thing, Carlos. The thing with this game that differs it from other games is the way you win, right? So it's strictly numbers. So when it comes down to it, if you can't beat that person, if you want to play to win, if someone has a number that's going to beat you, you can't take them. That's kind of what it comes down to. So I feel like some people, when they play for the first time, like you're not the only fault. We're not faulting you. They come into this, they have their friends, and they think, okay, if I'm loyal to my friends, I'll make it to final two, and maybe the jury will vote for me. Well, that's not how it results in the end. So next time, if you ever play Carlos, you'll know if someone can beat you, you got to take them out, because Dennis did have a lot of points.
When Ivan said the bottoms need to stick together, or whatever he called y'all, I was like, period, because that's exactly what I said. Like the round before, like that round when y'all were in the breakout rooms, I was like talking to the audience. That's exactly what I said, because Ivan, Dennis, and you, Carlos, were all like negative 100, and then Johnny and Jeremy had like negative 10 or positive 6. Like it made the most sense for y'all to stick together. Destiny was still in at that point too, and you still chose not to do it. And I was just like, what? I was trying to figure out, like, I understood, like, you wanted to work with Jeremy, you wanted to work with Johnny, but you weren't gonna win the game that way. So I was just trying to figure out.
I think I realized like I had dug myself such a big hole, and at that point I was just like, it's so close to the end. Like I was like, there's no way I'm gonna catch up. Like even if
I understand that point, but when there are other people in that hole just as big as you have an opportunity to get out, because y'all are pretty much at the same level. It doesn't matter if y'all are close to 0 or not. Y'all are close to each other. That's what matters.
Yeah. I will say that, speaking of, shout out to Ivan, who is not here, but I adored him.
Ivan,
he was a little revolutionary. He was fighting. He has an amazing voice.
He literally
he was bringing heat after heat after heat. I adored this cast. I wish I could see this group play like 10 times over and do it all over again. I really loved watching all of you play, because you were here to like show up and do the game. You were not here to sit
I do have a question. After the first cycle, who did Zach give the double up to?
It went to, I believe it was Nick.
That's what I thought. I wanted Nick to use it as like strategy, because I felt like he could have tried to like force some people to vote a certain way. I feel like that's what a lot of like new players don't understand about how the double up really works, is you use the double up to force people to vote how you want them to vote. Like when Ivan first called out that, oh, I'm doubling up me and Jeremy. Jeremy was like, fuck, I can't vote Ivan now, because then I'll lose the game.
I was also scared about Johnny using the double up at like Final 5 or Final 4, I think, because I was like, this could get her voted off. I was like,
when she said, I'm going to use the double up.
I was like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. You're in a good position.
Right.
My thought process, I mean, obviously things happen fast. Like I don't like, I'd like to strategize, but I'm so used to playing like long games that I don't have time, like on the spot. I'm not always thinking, efficiently. But I thought in that mindset, because I was like, I could get voted out here. And so I was like, one, I'm going to show Carlos that I've been so loyal that I'm even willing to, if I get voted out, to swap out my points so you can have a chance in this game. That was my thought process and strategy.
That's smart.
And I knew how.
Come on, social queen.
Carlos was so loyal the entire game. So I just thought that was
Your social game is definitely one of the best I've seen of an SA winner, like of the seasons I've watched, at least in these minis. Definitely one of the strongest I've seen, and especially a nice parallel to last season, who Maddie was just freaking backstabbing people left and right, was pissing other people off. I think you were
What
very
were you saying,
nice.
Nick? Were you saying something, Nick? Or was that Jeremy?
That was me.
Who started
Jeremy.
to speak?
Oh yeah, it was Jeremy.
Jeremy, what were you saying?
I'm gonna air Carlos out a little bit. The round that we voted Dennis out, he was trying to vote Johnny out, and I had to like try and flip him back to make sure we did Dennis.
Oh,
Not Carlos actually was playing the game.
I
Johnny.
was talking to people. Like I was. That's why.
I mean, also DMs are not allowed, but
I was about to say,
still,
yeah,
not Carlos.
No, we talked in
Carlos
the
completely
breakout
ignored
rooms.
that.
No, we talked in the breakout rooms
that.
too.
He like didn't even read it. He was just like, "Let me DM everyone." This whole
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know.
could just tell, like,
bullshit.
Carlos, it was a smart move to do. Like, I knew I was in jeopardy. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try this double up, see what it can get out of it, and hoping that it would prove that, you know, keep me in this game. I'm going to ride with you. But
And you can ask Jeremy. I normally play chaotic and I'll cut people, but I was just like, let me just make friends and just have fun. Like, I had fun, and that's all that I wanted to do.
same.
I mean, I guess
Okay,
it's fun to like work with your pregame alliance, and like I'm not trying to take anything away because the game's over, but it's just like it's not fun when your whole strategy at the beginning was let's just call out the person who's talking and let's just stay silent when the whole game is you have to get the information. So like, yeah, I'm glad you guys had fun, but it also is kind of bullshit to like have a 3 out of a cast of 8 but 7 votes.
It wasn't
with smirks on your face.
I'm not done talking. You guys had much more time to talk because you lasted longer. Let me fucking speak. Like you guys, like the first half that set you up for such a good success was done so low key because it was done pregame. So like, not to diminish you, but also to diminish you, you guys did what exactly is no fucking put your finger down, bitch. You did what was told not to do.
I'm leaving. Bye. I don't have to deal with this. Good night.
Oh, don't go. Don't go. I think we can
Not
out.
Carlos running away.
So Nick, while you
I
were
do want to ask
ranting,
this.
Nick, while you were ranting on misinformation because you probably misheard, but me, Johnny, and Carlos did not pregame. I only knew Carlos.
I don't know.
Okay,
I never
shut the
knew
fuck
anybody
up.
in this
You guys
class.
Pregame.
Besides
Pregame.
Ivan. That
I don't know Johnny.
Regardless, everything you guys did was low-key DMs that set you up well. So it wasn't really playing the game.
No,
You're
Nick, I
wrong,
think
though.
Johnny came into the game and did not know these people. Like Johnny
Yeah,
met
we
these
had-
people.
They
Stay
said-
out of it, host. I don't want the
They
host.
literally met in the breakout
Johnny's
room.
saying
They
she
were just
didn't do
talking about that.
But it's still like crickets in the actual game. Like everything was
Okay,
DM.
Nick. Let me ask this question: why did you call out Dennis in the first round?
Dennis was 100% random based on I don't know who was in the room with me. It was Zach. I talked to Zach and I talked to Jeremy, and they both said that the votes were coming down to Jeremy and Zach. So I said, okay, I think they were both in the room. I said, if us 3 and get someone else, we could do somebody. And no one said a name. So I said, okay, looking at the people who were in the other room, I said, let's just do Dennis. It was 100% random. There was nothing to it. Every conversation I had regarding that was literally just random. And then that second round, I know this wasn't asked, but like the second round, I did not push Dennis. And I know Dennis had his like, I don't like your attitude moment, which was great. But I think that kind of guided the game or misguided.
I agree. I agree with that point. I agree with that point. I was going to ask Dennis.
So
why did you
let
continue?
me step in here. So
hold on. He goes out saying that Johnny is his target, but Johnny was my target when you wanted to be all high and mighty. I don't like your attitude, his commander attitude.
No. I'm gonna stop you there. Well, realizing it now, like that decision did like set up the trajectory of the game. However, I was completely under the impression that I was with Johnny, Carlos, and Destiny. That was like my full impression, and like it's on me for not realizing like, these people are like in a little pregame alliance. Like I was fully with them. Like
pregame. What is this pregame shit? There was no.
I understand. I'm still speaking. I understand, Nick, like what you're saying, but your delivery is so fucking terrible that it makes me not want to listen to you. Like you're technically right, but your delivery is just so horrible and so rude. Like who wants to listen to you? Yeah, technically, like,
well, if you want to
like,
win,
Johnny should have gone.
So
but
your
it's like,
I was put your fucking personal feelings aside, and done what's going to get you the win. So, like, I don't care if I'm rude.
No, every person in this room will say that. They're just not saying it right now. Your delivery is horrible, my dude. Like,
I don't care. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a professional hater. If you can't handle it, fuck off. I don't care.
Then who's gonna work with you in the game, dude? Who's gonna want to vote with you?
People who want to win. Clearly, it didn't work out very well for you, and it didn't work with me.
Like, you just played it so bad. Like, I don't even know.
No, I fucking didn't. You're just. I was the only fucking one speaking up because the DM fucking game was being played by the alliance that carried them. So the rest of you fucking quiet little pussy bitches who didn't want to say shit, do shit, play the fucking game you're part of, just sat back and then shot the first person to stand up and say something, which was me. And that's fine with me. I don't care about losing if that's how I'm gonna go out, because you guys are fucking annoying, fucking losers, fucking quiet for playing that.
Then why are you here?
I will say this. Wait, listen. I can't come back. Let me say this. I said this before you got here. I said this before you got here. But I did respect that you were the one who spoke up during round 1 and continued the conversation in round 2. Because there were a few people in the game, the people you're referring to saying had a pregame alliance. I don't think it was pregame, but I do agree they were working together. That's why they weren't saying anything. So I just want you to know that.
No, I do have a question on that.
The people who doubted it were fucking dumb, because you could see in their reactions to everything that they were all in unison about everything. It was like, come on, it was so obvious. I felt like, have you guys ever played a game before? Like, I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask.
No one was playing to win.
I just wanted to ask. I know that there was no like pregame, any of that shit. But was there breakout rooms before you guys played, or did you just jump into it immediately?
We just jumped into
it. Oh, okay. So you didn't have breakout rooms even before?
No, they did. They had the opportunity to speak before the game started, but everybody was just here and was again silent.
It was pretty much just me, Ivan, and Carlos.
No, I was just asking because I was like, oh, that's really crazy.
But
I do want to ask. I want to ask.
Okay, I will say here is how it played out.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Was me and Jeremy know each other before the game.
I did not know Carlos was playing.
Established that.
I didn't know Jeremy was playing until the cast was revealed. We did the first cycle and we went into breakout.
No. I think you're skipping the step where you were DMing each other and making all your little plans. I think you're skipping that step.
Well, okay, I DM'd people, but I just
you're forgetting a very important step.
That was against the rules, though.
Wrong part.
The thing is, here, just so it's not like a thing. Me and Carlos are good friends. We text each other every day outside of this game. We're on personal level friends. So it's like, I mean, whether we pre-gamed or not, like we were going to work together regardless. We didn't plan anything with anybody else.
I don't know. It's you guys are probably like, let's just do it.
Right.
No, I was gonna say, so you guys met in the first breakout room then? You, Jeremy, and Johnny?
I went into a breakout room. And
okay, so you were in the breakout room
with Johnny and Dennis.
Yes. That was my first
when I talked to them. So then and then I found out that Jeremy was also working with Johnny. So then that's why we kind of had a little alliance on the side. But that's
how were they working together if she didn't start in the room?
Go ahead, Johnny.
My first room was with Dennis and Carlos, and I was gonna stay true to that until Dennis threw my name under the bus, but whatever. I get it, it's the game. But I was gonna stay true to that. I met to the next room, it was Jeremy, and I don't know if it was just us two or Destiny came in there as well.
Destiny,
and I literally said to Jeremy, I was like, hey, I recognize your face because I was supposed to play a prior season and you were on there and I watched and you were the first boot. And I said, I don't want that happening. The reason why I said that is I didn't know the cast. So that was my first thought of how can I make an ally? Because I'm going to need them.
Yeah.
So that was how I connected with Jeremy.
I think for me,
social queen.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just
that reads. My God.
I just wanted to say what I said.
You spoke a lot, Nick. Let Ivan speak. Thank you.
I'm saying I'm leaving. I'm saying bye, Price. Damn.
Don't try to take my win from me and talk about pregame and DM.
I mean, no, Nick has his points. Nick has his points. So that's why I was gonna let him get his point across.
Whether or not it was pregame or like early, like a lot of it was probably DMs. Like
no, it wasn't. It was called
I don't
breakout
care.
room.
Okay, I already said. So just let me
before you, I think where the game went wrong was where we decided to vote.
Dennis fucked the game up.
When me, you and
don't blame it on me. Blame it on your own delivery.
When me,
Like you're such a fucking
Let
loser.
Ivan
That's not
speak.
how you win
Let
these
Ivan
games.
speak. Okay, dude, we get it. Everyone fucking sucks. Everyone's stupid. Goodbye, Ivan. I'm sorry.
Nick left.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Ivan.
Me, Nick, and Jeremy agreed to vote Johnny out. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right.
No, you're saying Johnny. Johnny is right. Yeah.
We agreed to vote Johnny out and pretend it was going to be Dennis. But the mistake we made was not realizing that Jeremy was not with us. He was. That was
yeah.
We should have talked to Dennis instead of Jeremy. But we spoke with Jeremy instead of Dennis. That was.
And I was assuming that y'all were together, and I was with Johnny, Carlos, Destiny.
That was where the game started going wrong, not because of whatever they were going back and forth. And Jeremy, I was the first person you spoke to on this Zoom, which was why I was confused when you started saying that you spoke to Carlos before me. And I'm
still got that smirk on his face.
No. To be real with you, I took a couple edibles before this, and I kind of forgot that I met you first. But now that I'm looking back on it, I definitely remember meeting you first because you were the immune one.
I was saved the first round, and I was leaving the breakout room for people, and the only person available for me to talk to was you. So there was no way you were in the breakout room with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're bullshitting me at this point.
That was definitely my mistake.
I was like confused at that part.
It really was like, it really was a matter of who was in the room when me, Johnny, and Destiny like made that decision to vote together, and then we talked to Carlos and brought him into it too. That was really what decided my loyalty. If someone else like I feel like whoever the combination was in the room, like it could have been completely different.
Well, I came to the game wanted to really play with Johnny because she's the only family.
I wanted to play with you. You're the only one that I knew.
Only familiar name I know in the cast, but we just never got in the breakout room together at the beginning. And then I recognized that she was with Destiny and Carlos, and I'm like, they're not going to expect us to vote for Johnny. Let me, Jeremy, and what's the guy's name that left again? Whatever it is.
Nick.
Okay, Nick. But then we had this. And I should have.
Okay, I do want to talk to Zach real quick. Zach, how was your experience this season? What do you think happened? What went wrong?
I think the only thing I really did wrong is I should have just put 25 for the first thing. For some reason, I just thought that what was it, Ivan the first one?
Yeah, it was Ivan.
I didn't think people were going to go that high off the bat, so I was like, plus I figured at the worst case I had a low score count in the first place, so I didn't. Listen, I've played this game one time. I have seen one season, and that was the one I played. I had to rewatch the rules again before this, so I figured if I had a small enough amount of points, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, he's not worth it." But apparently, I guess, like I said, the alliance thing kind of steamrolled throughout, and the math didn't matter.
Which was why I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Because I spoke with Bryce before playing this game. I think Bryce won the last season and was telling me what you should do, what you shouldn't do, where you should vote out, where you shouldn't vote out. Which is why I was confused. When you guys kept voting everyone with the highest negatives, I'm like, am I playing with people that want to win or people that want to lose?
Right.
I understand loyalty, but at this point, I'm wasting my time here, which was why I said to double up on you, Carlos, because I'm like, okay, if I'm with Carlos, he doesn't want to be on minus 300. He would rather vote Jeremy out. But then I didn't know if he was not playing to win. I thought he was playing for Johnny to win. If I knew that, then I would have doubled up on Jeremy, because I knew Jeremy wanted to win, kind of. You wanted to win, right?
I did. Well, I made the mistake. I made such a big mistake when I decided to keep my safety. But
I feel like you were just like happy to have safety.
Yes.
Went too quick because like if you would have thought for like a whole second, because you already know Carlos is not gonna vote you out. Like if that's a guaranteed vote, like when you said that, I was screaming to myself.
Because then all of a sudden it comes down to the 50-50 shot between whether Johnny or Carlos are sitting at the end. I also wanted to ask back to Zach for a second. Do you regret not throwing out a name? Because people were asking you to throw out a name and you didn't say anything.
See, my thought process behind that, in the breakout rooms, what was happening, the first thing that came around, I think I was in a room with, I think it was Nick and Dennis first. I get it. So some of the combination. I think it was also Dennis and Carlos at some point. We had nothing else going on. So I said, hey, usually people with the higher vote counts get it. And then someone threw out Jeremy's name because he had the highest.
It was me, by the way.
Threw out Jeremy's name. So I was like, okay, we can go off that. And then Carlos was very quiet at that time. So I was like, okay, so he's probably something or whatever. So I kind of took note of that. And the next room, I forget where I was bouncing around. At the end of the round, it ended up with me, Jeremy, and Nick in a room. And they were all saying like, oh yeah, so if all three of us all vote Dennis, there's a fourth and we should be good to go. And I looked right as time right now, I said, who's your fourth? Who do we have as a fourth? And I kind of trusted that someone else had it. And it was talking back and forth. Nick kept talking, and I just assumed like, hey, maybe he has somebody, and we're just kind of playing for show. I kind of hoped at the moment, I don't think me saying anything would have changed a mind in the moment.
I think you were not. I know I threw out you, Jeremy, and Carlos to vote together as a 3 because people were voting for you and Jeremy, and it's going to be like it's on Jeremy, 2 on you, and with the 3 votes, you guys could have the majority. But you were not really receptive to the idea because I think you're already locked in on voting for Jeremy because you left the break after that.
From when I was bouncing around with people who were saying Jeremy, it seemed very fake. I thought, I mean, at least as a fake name, not as fake, whatever. But I was like, I don't think anyone was going to vote for Jeremy in the first place.
I wanted to vote Jeremy.
I know you did. But I saw Carlos get really quiet. And then I think there was a room with somebody, I think Destiny or somebody else for a second. And they were also very quiet. And I was like, okay, well, something's happening behind the scenes that they're not saying, because that's exactly what I did the first time when I played. So I was like, something else is happening. Jeremy's not going anywhere. I just got to trust this Dennis thinks that was the last thing that happened last 30 seconds of breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm. I will say that Cameron was incredibly traumatized because he was rooting for you coming into the season. And I updated him and he was like, no! So
yeah, I will say also, Zach, you were right in a sense, like, people kind of keep around the folks who have the high step count sometimes. That is part of like strategy, but it's also about social as well. So it's like it's a good mix of both. So you kind of like have to know like the cast that you're playing with. Like, are they going based off strategy right on this vote, or are they going based off social? And so,
I think it was
you
just
did the best you could.
Yeah, last time I had someone I knew, and now at this time I came in, I didn't know anybody. I was like kind of shit out of luck in that one, but
yeah, I do think you could have done better if the cast was mixed a bit differently. I just think you got a bad draw at the end of the day, because I think you weren't wrong with the argument you were making, and I don't think you positioned yourself poorly. I just think I think the reason you went home specifically wasn't anything you did, but just more so with where the numbers were and who was tight with who.
It was just
I think it was just a victim of that.
It was just luck. It was luck of the draw.
Yeah. And it sucks when that happens.
I just thought you were an easy vote at that point because we never crossed paths in the breakout room. We didn't have a conversation. And
I think you're the one person I didn't see in the first round. Yeah.
Yeah. Hearing that it was because I was trying to make my rounds with everyone, but we had such a short amount of time. So I just tried to stick with, the group rooms. But seeing that it was between you and Dennis threw me off because I was like, I need to vote Zach now at this point because I was trying to save Dennis at that point because we had conversation. So
but you wouldn't have voted Jeremy either, I'm assuming.
No, because we had a conversation as well.
So what happened was I walked into the room with Johnny and Destiny, and I was like, oh, like I'm hearing Zach and Jeremy, but Jeremy makes more sense because that's really what I'm doing, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense to vote Zach. Like, why are we voting Zach here? Like, Jeremy has so many points. Like, I like Johnny, she has points. So I didn't talk to Jeremy. I'd rather vote him out. Like, why are we not voting the people with the highest right now? Like, hello, and look who the final 2 was. But then, like, out of nowhere, Nick's ass came out of somewhere, some cave, and started yelling. And then I'm like, me? I'm like, so I guess I have to vote Zach because that's what everyone else is doing. But I would have loved to vote Jeremy that round.
I would have gone, like I said, I think it was between Jeremy and Johnny that both had 18 points at the time or whatever. I knew it was something I had to line up. And if between the Carlos and Jeremy thing at the beginning, I was like, they're not going to sway anything else different. It's not going to be Jeremy. Nick starts yelling up about Dennis. And I was like, at this point, I don't think I could have changed anything talking out loud because he'd already said your name and no one was going to vote for Jeremy from the breakout rooms. At that point, I was like, I just have to hope we can get Dennis now and then try and revive something in the second round. But he
was all like, I have the numbers. You're leaving, Dennis. I was like, girl, okay.
The next thing I want to bring up is, I guess it kind of goes back to Jeremy and how he lost, is I feel like a lot of y'all didn't think about the strategy of like having a vote versus having safety. Like, I feel like Ivan, especially Carlos, you too, like y'all got safety and it was automatically, I'm keeping it, and not thinking about do I need to vote? Because like it would change how the numbers would play out.
Yeah.
Like that round that Destiny went home, I was very nervous. I thought that Dennis was like done for because
I
Ivan
thought so
kept
too.
safety.
I feel bad for Destiny though.
I didn't want to do that.
No,
I really didn't because I like Destiny.
No,
But
for me,
Ivan, what were you about to say?
no, for me, the first safety I got, I did not know anyone. The only person I know was Johnny, but we're not close. I just know of Johnny.
Yeah.
So I was
We
like,
know of each other.
No, that one made sense. I was really talking about the third cycle.
safety for the first round because I don't know people's connection with each other. I don't know who knows who doesn't know who. So I want to know how the game is going to land the first round before I start. The round Dennis went out, it was clear that it was going to be between me and Dennis that would get eliminated. So even if I did not keep my safety, there are 3 numbers. There are 3. It was just me and Dennis.
Do you think that they would have like realized that they need that third number and like destroyed the safety? Like, do you think like they would have like? I mean, let me ask you, Johnny, Jeremy, and wherever Carlos is. Like, would you have done that, or would one of you have kept the safety if Ivan passed it on? Like,
They would
have kept it.
They wouldn't have flipped. At final 4 was the perfect time for someone to flip. Me and Carlos were 100.
What he's asking, what Dennis is asking is the round he went home when you got safety.
Like
he was asking Jeremy and Johnny if you would have given it to one of them, would they have kept safety? That's what he's asking.
Because then it would have been a 2-2 vote, like us and then them, and it would have went to tie. Like if you passed it on, you know. Right, and then Johnny wouldn't vote for example.
I was riding for Dennis until till that round. Like until you said my name. I'm that type of player. Like if I give you a heads up and I'm like, listen, I'm riding with you, I'm gonna play this game with you, I mean it. And I did that from the start. But you literally, when you said, oh, I said Jeremy's name, I said, you have to go for me because now you're, you know what I mean? Now you're causing havoc into my game. But if you
that's fair.
Yeah, if you had said anything else, like I would have taken, for me, I will take that into consideration and figure out what's the best move moving forward. But you weren't I never was like targeting you ever in this game.
I guess it like didn't click for me that like Jeremy was like with you because Jeremy was the one person I like was not speaking to, and I even said to you the very first round, I said, you know, I haven't talked to Jeremy. I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass.
Yeah.
And my ass got bit.
But Johnny, my question would be, you said you would have been loyal to Dennis if Dennis did not throw your name out. So between Dennis, Jeremy, and Carlos, where does Dennis fall? Is it number 3?
Right, like I didn't throw your name out until I realized
I
like,
was
the vote was
worried
coming
about
to me.
Carlos and Jeremy because of them knowing each other from previous round. I was like, if I go into final 4 or final 3, they're gonna cut me. I'm in jeopardy, especially having so many points. So if Dennis was like, listen, we riding this thing to the end, and I knew that he was gonna stick with me because he was in jeopardy with them, I would have had to make that decision, whatever was best for my game at that point.
But I think at that point, from Dennis' point of view, what was her name? I forgot. Oh my god, I went blank. I can't remember.
It was basically like you at that point. I'm like, how like we're all like deep in the negatives. Like, how are we not like voting you? It just doesn't make sense at this point because we're just cakewalking you to the win, which you did win. So
something else that was in the game at that point that was a number for you. I can't recall her name, right?
Carlos.
Not Carlos.
Destiny had already left. It was me, you.
Destiny had not left. Destiny had not left.
The round we're talking about, Destiny had left, but the round before, it's pretty much the same thing. But Destiny was still there.
And I was immune that round, so I didn't have a vote.
When Dennis tried your name out, Destiny was still in the game because it was me and
No. Johnny was safe that round. Johnny,
I never said Johnny's name until that round.
Until that round, and that was my most vulnerable round at that point because I was
and it should have been you.
It should have been you. It should have been you. Carlos saved you. It should have been another randomizer.
It was still in the game, literally out because
and that's why.
Sorry. I voted you out. Destiny was still in the game. That was the round Destiny went home. He voted you out.
The round Destiny went home. Johnny had safety, so it was Carlos voted.
You voted Destiny.
You
Johnny got 2 votes. You got 2 votes in the round, right? The round who went home that round? That was the round you got 2 votes. That was the round Zach.
Nick, it was me versus Nick. The round that I got votes was me versus Nick.
Was the round Nick went home. Okay, got you.
Yeah. And Nick threw my name and Carlos's name under the bus, which actually brought us closer together. Which what Nick wasn't realizing is throwing names out like that, it made me have to stick. Now I'm like, okay, now I don't have a choice, but I gotta stick together.
Yeah. I think Nick's delivery is just so bad.
So bad.
In his, to be honest, like he had a point of people were trying to work together, but his reads were a little bit off in terms of like, oh, we knew each other, like this is like we've been kumbayaing. Like, no, I met literally Jeremy and Carlos, all of you guys, besides obviously you, Ivan. Like we played one Discord game together. Yeah. We don't know each other, you know.
I feel like he was including you in the Carlos and Jeremy relationship because y'all were working together. So
and I didn't even know that they were that close because I don't know them.
But I feel like most of y'all didn't know until later on.
Once that was revealed.
Jeremy lied to me the first round.
And Ivan, I almost came to you like, depending on how that round was going to go, I was trying to plan for immunity for that final 5. But I almost came to you like, listen, they know each other. This is too much.
I know you're very strategic.
Everybody was saying my name at that point. So I was just like, I need to figure out at this point who's going to really ride with me and how I can paint out this situation, because I knew I was destined to win points wise if I got there.
You are positive. I would not have ridden with you. I'm just saying.
I know you wouldn't have, because you were, I know you wouldn't have. And that's the thing. That's why I couldn't pivot that way, because you were like, I'm not trying to lose this game. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play.
I will say I was calling for Johnny and Ivan to be on All-Stars. Y'all were my All-Stars picks for the season. Nick for a rival season. Nick and Dennis, next rival season. That's what I want to see. Jeremy on the
Jeremy deserves to be in there. Okay,
I was going to say
so we can make him a first boot again.
Jeremy for the runner-up season. You know.
You have enough rivals for Nick. Take your pick. Anyone.
Take your pick. For real. But overall, it was a really good season. Fun all around. Like, y'all, from the first vote, like I said, like it was probably gonna be between Johnny, Jeremy, and Zach. But
I thought I was gonna be the first vote as well.
I was like, Johnny and Jeremy had the most votes. I was like, but I feel like Jeremy has the better tie, so it'll probably be Johnny. But Zach must feel unsafe because he went for safety. So y'all were the people I was looking at that first round.
I thought I was an easy boot, not gonna lie. Like I was like, let me try to make it second boot. Like I wasn't pushing to, get to this point. As the game progressed, I was like, okay, I can get further and further. This is how I'm gonna do it. But I never thought I would make it. Especially when I was like, damn, first round I racked up them damn steps. Like,
I was looking at y'all crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, they but overall, it was a really good season. It was fun, it was strategic, except for Carlos. It was fun, it was strategic, and like it was entertaining. Like I feel like this is a very good season to introduce people to the game of strategic aspect.
I agree.
There were good moves made. Y'all learned as well. So we got to see a bunch of ties. We got to see the double up used. Overall, really, I'm like, would love to see any of y'all back.
Yeah.
Not so much Carlos, but I would love to see any. I'm joking.
You're half joking.
After the second vote of this game, I think did Nick leave at the second vote?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought Nick was here forever because he had so much of a presence.
It felt like it.
After the second vote, I knew this was going to be a season for the books, and you all delivered and delivered and delivered and delivered every single round. You always had something to say. You never backed down, except for Carlos. And
my God. Gotta leave that.
No, that's just gonna. But I feel like you were all absolutely amazing. I'd love to see you all play again. Like I said, I could watch this cast play like 10 times over and see what happens every single time. You were all really, really, really fun to watch and really fun to see this season play out. And I think Price said, which is a really good point, this is such a great season to introduce to people, especially for like a mainly rookie season, because this is the caliber that people should be playing at from the get-go, or people who are invested in winning and doing their best. This is so ironic because the first time I played it, I was the first person voted out. So I don't know where I'm coming from. But I will say, I think all of you shined amazingly. You should be so proud, regardless of whether you were first out or at the end.
And we have
you really did. You were unforgettable in your presence here. I hope you guys play again. I hope you say yes, because I think all of you easily could be winners down the line because of how hard.
Especially Johnny. Hello, she already won.
And Johnny already won. Amazing.
We have a great winner. We have an amazing winner. I
Thank you.
have chosen anyone else because I'm like, you're not racking up the negative points and you're keeping your social ties. I'm like, that's how you play the game. You make people in the game and you look at your end game as well.
I don't regret not voting you out. Like, I still stand by my decision.
And I understand.
That was like to you.
No, I understand completely. And I feel like for me, I was taking a lot of risks in this game. And I want for people that, want to continue playing and stuff like that, obviously do not play the way I played, I feel like, because it was a lot. But I do feel like taking risks will get you very far in this game, especially because of the fact that it's just how you play it. Like, I was like, okay, if I start off this game at a negative 1,000, even if I make it to final 2, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? You have to think every step, okay, what's going to get me to the end? Even if you came into it like me, feeling like I could be first or second boot. But I still, from that point, played like how I wanted to play to get to the end and actually have a chance at winning.
Yeah, but I think I feel like that advice depends on the cast. Because other casts would have caught you a long time ago. Because I was confused why you were still here. I was very confused on why you were still here. Because you had so many people like, you gotta go. And I feel like if someone plays like that in another season, they will be caught ASAP.
But it's what Luke said. You got to play that social game up.
True.
You have to from the start.
I want to get ready to end this reunion live stream. So I'll give, I guess, the final 2. Let y'all have some final words real quick. Jeremy, what you want to say?
Oh, no. I mean, I don't have anything to say. I had a fun game. I don't have anything to say.
All right, Johnny.
I'll just speak for Jeremy because you should have something to say because I don't care what anybody has to say, whether you had past connections or not. It's all about what you do in the game. And your past connection was one person. There was a cast of 8, 9 of us. And so you made it. And I just want to say thank you for having me. It was all love. Like, honestly, I will not take any of this personal, even Nick. I will not take it personal. I know we're all fabulous game players. I know we all wanted to come in here and win. And so I'm just grateful that I could represent this season. I will be rooting and watching for every single one of y'all. Y'all better go and get your win, okay?